we have so much fun on this show, and I have to say that my guests are just really wonderful. We are back here with Chair Suzanne Case, who happens to be one of my constituents, and in her background is my home valley, Makiki, Tanlis, Manoa. So welcome back, Chair Case. We just got to visit with Rep. Ichiyama out at Kamana Nui Valley. Any thoughts about that project or any other community projects DLNR has on its books?
Yeah, it's wonderful for you to showcase Maunalua Valley. It's really a great example. It's kind of a microcosm of what we can do when we work together. And the department works closely with communities and the legislature. In that case, I mean, there's state funding that made the acquisition possible, and that echoes the Legacy Land Fund that the legislature funds that for similar acquisitions that make sure we protect land in perpetuity, and they get matched by county and federal funds and private funds. And also trail development. We worked really closely with community members and people, generational Hawaiian descendants with deep ties to that valley. And we've been able to do that in many, many areas throughout the state, and it's a high priority for us.
I had never been back to that valley, so I'm going to take my family back there and get onto that trail someday soon when it's not quite so wet. And on that note, this past 2 weeks, the state has just been hit so hard by rain and floods. I believe Olelo has some footage of that for us, but Chair Case, can you give us kind of a on the ground what's happening right now? What is DLNR's response out there with the recent flooding and heavy rains?
Sure. These rains, they brought into focus again very clearly the dangers of what we're seeing with more intense and more frequent storms, and often heavy, very local impacts. And I think we're seeing predicted ecological changes from climate change in real time, and so it is scary when the rains come down and they keep coming down, and they start to impact communities and areas, the roads, and so specifically DLNR manages the state dam safety program within our engineering division. We have 130 public and private dams in Hawaii. Most are very old earthen dams that were built to irrigate sugarcane. Of course, with no further sugarcane, we don't have the ability to invest resources at the same rate you would have if you were actively irrigating so much of the land that we used to. And so many of these dams are now in need of either of upgrades to comply with new safety standards that are really intended to ensure the dams hold up in very big rain events, or if they can't be, or if it's too expensive, they need to be taken out of commission to make sure they're safe in maximum floods, to make sure they don't hold back water that is beyond their strength. And so it is a very important process that we go through. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and it's working with the public and private owners of the dams. And a lot of them are still in use, some are not. I had the opportunity to visit Kalua Dam on Maui last week, and actually just yesterday, I visited Wahiawa Dam. I wanted to check on the operations and on the monitoring and improvement plans for them. One interesting thing I've seen in this past 2 weeks is there has been a lot of damage from flooding that isn't actually related to the dams itself, in the sense that we've just had a sheer volume of water coming down into the streams, and then the streams, sometimes they back up, sometimes it's just more than the streams hold, and then you flood neighborhoods. That happened in Maui and in Wailua. But we do need to make sure the dams themselves hold up.
As you're going around the state assessing damage, you have to collaborate with a number of other agencies. I think out on Kauai with the landslide over the highway, there's a lot of collaboration with Department of Transportation. So are you working with those folks as well?
Yes, absolutely. And you know, DOT has tremendous challenges when communities like Hanalei get isolated. And you know, last time it was actually out at Haena, where we have a state park, and it's the beginning of the Napali Coast Wilderness area. And you know, the heavy rains will soak a hillside, and if it takes too much water on, it can collapse and cover the road, and then you have a really challenging situation for the people that live there. And of course, you know, it can shut down. You know, our parks right now are shut down, and Napali are shut down. We also got very heavy rain out at Polihale State Park, which is has a long dirt road once you get off the highway. And when the rains come down in floods, it just is a mess. And so it's a setback for everyone and the communities who really depend on these areas. So it's a lot of work. You got to work with the counties, and lot of people just chip in emergency situations and just help however we can. And it's terrific to work together, but it is a setback for everyone.
You know, I have your deal in our website listed as a favorite in my browser, but I'm always amazed, and kudos to your communications team, because they're often putting out lots and lots of information about how the public can respond, or warnings, or things when things are opening and closing. Is there any particular response or things that people should be doing for the flooding concerns, or if they've had flooding of their property, or is there anything that they can do with respect to flooding?
Yes, you can go on the deal on our website, the communications website, and also the engineering division has a lot of resources on what to do if your area is flooded, and if you need help under emergency provisions for cleanup and funding, and there are lots and lots of links listed there. And so I do recommend anyone who's experienced flooding that wants more information to go onto the deal on our website and the engineering division website. You'll find a lot of resources there. Also for flood insurance, you can find out, if you have flood insurance, you can find out how to file a claim, etc. So it's an important resource.
Well, we'll take that website up. I wanted to give you the last couple of minutes to discuss. We talked a lot about priorities, and there's a lot of convergence of priorities between Chair Tarnas, the legislature, yourself. But are there other specific DLNR priorities that we didn't mention that you'd like to highlight for the public?
Yes. So, I'm always amazed at just when you drive around or you walk around, how much you see of the work that we do. I hike in the trails up in your district pretty much every day. That's my exercise. People go to the beach, they go to the parks, and it's historic preservation, boating, and we have so much statewide people depend on. And we have threats that are very intensifying from climate change. We have these floods we talked about. We have coral bleaching. We have a lot of endangered native birds that are really dropping in their population because mosquito-borne diseases kill them. And with climate change, the reach of mosquitoes is getting higher and higher because the temperature is warm. We have coastal erosion that everybody is very, very worried about. Certainly the people that own homes along the coastline, but also the people that go to the beaches and see beaches disappearing. So there's just so much, on all of the items that we need to do to take care of, but also that's just wonderful to be in. And it's so important for our well-being, just being relatively hunkered down over the last year, and at some points literally shut in, and having, the only enjoyment in life being able to get out into our trails, into our oceans, go surfing, go swimming. We really see how much we depend on this for our well-being, and we appreciate all the communities that we work with, all the stakeholders and the legislators in doing this work to protect our resources.
I like what you said about that. You go out into in just outdoors. You could be in urban Honolulu and you can look to the mountains, and those are the resources that our state government has kuleana over, responsibility over. And so I feel again better that individuals like yourself, your great team at DAR, the DoCare officers, the land management folks are really doing the important work. And sometimes, we get knocked around a bit. Mother Nature takes a hit at us. We wonder, are we funding enough? But I think at the end of the day, I think when government does good stuff, sometimes you don't even realize it. And our natural world is testimony to that. We've got 1 more minute left with you. Any final messages for the public, final takeaways, maybe during this time of pandemic, from the chief of our natural land and natural resources?
Yeah, my hope is that everyone can appreciate what it takes to keep Hawaii so special, and I just want to thank everyone for really doing your part in that. And Majority Leader, you are also my representative, and I want to thank you for all of the work you do. And I just want to know your outreach with this show is also reflected in your newsletters, your very, very informative newsletters, and making that connection to people is really helpful at all times, certainly this year. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Chair Case. And thank you to all of our guests, including Chairs Tarnas, Representative Ichiyama, and our other surprise guest, Representative Aaron Johansson, for joining me on this episode of Talk Story with House Majority. If you enjoyed this segment of Talk Story, or if you have an issue or story you'd like me to dive into for a future episode, email me at Belatti@capitol.hawaii.gov with your feedback. Please follow the House Majority on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at High House Dems for the most current news, events, and updates from the State House. You can also visit our website at hawaiihousedemocrats.com. And please, 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 as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and informed. Wear your mask in public, and remember to follow good social distancing hygiene guidelines. We will see you on the next Talk Story with House Majority. Aloha.